Our guest speaker this evening is Fort Campbell High School faculty alumni, Miss Iris Laux. Miss Laux spent her entire teaching career at FCHS. She affectionately calls herself a military brat as she attended the DoDEA schools from kindergarten through 11th grade. She understands the challenges of the military children face. She was there for students not only on a daily basis, but also during Operation Desert Storm, Iraq Freedom, and many other deployments over the last 30 years. She believes that serving the children of service members is one of her greatest achievements. Ms. Laux attended Ball State University and Austin Peay State University, graduating with a double major in German and history. She completed her student teaching at Wassam Middle School before being hired at FCHS in 1993. Ms. Laux taught German Head Start classes for the FC Education Division before being promoted to manager of the SC Foreign Language Lab. She received her Master of Curriculum and Instruction in Educational Technology and Reading at Austin Peay in 2002. Ms. Laux was hired as the sole German teacher and taught all levels of German for 18 years. During this time, she also supervised the yearbook production and taught photography. Looking for a change in 2011, Ms. Laux moved to teaching her favorite subject, history. She taught several levels of world history and facilitated 3 different AP history classes during her tenure. Ms. Laux retired in 2023 after having positively impacted thousands of students during 30 years at FCHS. Please join me in welcoming Miss Iris Laux.
Woohoo! Yay, Iris!
Thank you, Adam. Before I begin, seniors, take a moment and find your families in the stands. In some
With
way,
your splint.
in some way, shape, or form, they had a hand in you sitting here. So thank them. Applause. And let us not forget about the teachers who pushed
She's
you,
doing good. She's looking up and stuff.
inspired you, maybe angered you, took your cell phone, but ultimately cared about you. Welcome, Falcon family. Mr. Bull, Mr. Gilmore, Mr. McKinnon, Dr. Marr, Mr. Romero, Ms. Daniels, teachers, staff, family, friends, and definitely not last, seniors. It is an honor and a privilege to be standing here as your commencement speaker.
I think she's wearing one of the things I
Thank
picked out.
you to the Fort Campbell High School Senior Board for the invitation to be this year's graduation speaker. Even in retirement, they hold me accountable, as it seems I promised that I would be here for their graduation. The request letter reminded me of that, and they added that they were going to put me to work. Thanks, CJ. My intention was to sit in the audience, but since more than half of these graduates are some of the last students I had the privilege to teach, I succumbed to the collective pressure and agreed to address them one last time. My life experiences, sharing what I know, giving guidance and direction to their life journey, including a motivational push for the future aspirations and goals, were specific topics they wanted me to cover in their invitation. This was payback for sure. I have always believed that in order for us to understand the present, we need to look at the past. Then, once we understand the present, we can make informed decisions for the future. So let me begin with the past, my past. I was, am, and always will be a military brat. Now, when I was growing up, the term military brat was perfectly acceptable, and at risk of offending anyone, I did what any of my students would do. I Googled it. According to the U.S. Department of Defense, the term military brat pertains to those who grew up in a military family. Brats wear the name like a badge of honor, often because of the moves, the stressors, and cultural experiences that make them more resilient than their civilian counterparts. This isn't going to be a history lesson, so if you require more information, as I would tell my students, www.google.com. How many times have you been asked, where are you from? Or where is home? For brats like me, it was always nowhere or everywhere. My high school years were especially meaningful to me in a Dodia High School in Hanau, Germany. They shaped my persona. I was born in Germany, and by the time I was 17, I had been across the Atlantic Ocean 20 times. My sister disputes that, but I'll stick by it. When you are really young, travel isn't a big deal. But by the time I was 9, my dad had passed away. We stayed in Germany for 7 years. I was stationary, and my friends around me moved away.
That's good.
Now, you must remember, this was all happening before the internet. Then, due to circumstances beyond my control, at the end of my junior year, I was literally uprooted and never had the chance to say goodbye to my friends. Without social media, cell phones, or anything like that, there was no way to let my friends know. I started my senior year in a civilian environment, attending a school where kids had known each other from birth. They had spent their entire lives together, and I was with a handful of other military brats who never had a chance to fit in. Thanks to my Dodia education, I had enough credits to graduate early. I got a job, saved money, and in the fall left home and went to college. I would ask you to imagine life without the technologies we have today. You can't, and that's okay. But bear with me while I tell you about Facebook. When Facebook became available to the public, a miracle happened to me and other military brats around the world. We could now be in contact with our friends from the good old days, those friends who I was never able to say goodbye to. We found each other again. Now, many years later, we have vacationed together, met each other's families, had reunions, and each time we get together, it's like high school all over again. We each have our own lives, but we all had the same roots, and our military beginnings were the common denominator that made time stand still. To this day, when we get together, our brathood or bratness is brought up, and to this day still we tell stories of how others just don't get it. This is one of the reasons I was thrilled when I was hired at FCHS. It was like coming home. I saw my friends from high school in the students I was now teaching. I listened and realized that the joys, fears, opinions, challenges, friendships, and teen angst my students were feeling in many ways was no different than during my high school years. History was, indeed, repeating itself in the next generation. The Y2K worries, 9/11, and the Gulf Wars were new events, but the military brat realities were still the same. 29 of you are fortunate enough to have spent all 4 years at Fort Campbell High School.
Yeah.
Considering the size of this class, that's a rather large number. That means that at least 50 of you have been to at least one other high school, and many of you to more than that. So that brings us to the present, to you, the Fort Campbell graduating class of 2024. You are here today at the culmination of 4 years of hard work, tears, fears, moves, and uncertainty. You have 12 years of knowledge within you, and you are now ready for your future. Do you know what you want to do with the rest of your life? Are you going to college, getting a job, joining the military, or do you just not know yet? Well, for those who just don't know yet, it's okay. I know some of you will find this hard to believe, but I was never going to be a teacher. I started at APSU as a junior and was undecided on a major. APSU was not going to let me register until I declared a major. So a friend suggested education, and I was desperate, so I agreed and graduated with all the requirements except student teaching. The last step I completed at Wassam Middle School several years later after yet another PCS. In conjunction with April as the month of the military child, the reference to the dandelion stood out to me. The dandelion is the flower associated with the military child. Pay attention. Dandelions put down roots because almost anywhere. It's impossible to destroy them. They are unpretentious as a plant, yet good looking. They are survivors in a broad range of climates. You are a dandelion. You will bloom everywhere the winds carry you. You are hardy and upright. Your roots are strong, cultivated deeply in the culture of the military, planted swiftly and surely. You are ready to fly in the breezes that take you to new adventures, new lands, and new friends. You are well-rounded, culturally aware, tolerant, and extremely resilient. You have learned from an early age that home is where the heart is, that good friends can be found in every corner of the world. You have learned that to survive means to adapt. Today, the door closes one chapter of your life and opens up new and exciting adventures full of new friends and experiences. Your mantra should be, I am resilient, I am resolute, and I am relentless. So, for the future, the guidance and direction you asked for and the motivational push you think you need comes from a very few of my thoughts, beginning with Dr. Seuss, who as eloquently wrote in one of my favorite books, Oh, the Places You'll Go, life is a great balancing act. Everyone here, if you haven't read it, you need to read it. I almost read the entire book as my speech. Additionally, buy a yearbook. It may not be a lot today, but I promise you that when you are at your 10, 20, 30-year reunions, those yearbooks will become priceless. Some friends you have today may not be your friends for life. Learn the importance of making the most of every moment. It costs nothing to be tolerant and kind. Moisturize your skin and don't crack your knuckles.
Moisturize your
I
skin.
always tell her that.
Don't try to order champa rice
That's what I
on
always tell her.
Amazon. And I will leave you with, may the odds be with you and the force always be in your favor. If you know, you know. Class of 2024, I congratulate you, wish you all the blessings in life, and I promise I will never forget you. Thank you.
Woohoo!